Hey guys, can you remember the first rule of Chess Club? The first rule of Chess Club is king safety. The second rule of Chess Club is king safety. And I've been very fortunate today to have been given a reminder of the importance of the first two rules. Okay, so basically what's happened is I woke up about 6 a.m, picked up the iPad, and I was feeling like quite refreshed. I hadn't had a coffee yet. I wasn't really awake, but I thought, do you know what? I'll have a couple of games of chess. I'm feeling quite good, feeling quite confident, and I was doing all right actually. But let me take you through two games, both of them with the white pieces and both of them with the Vienna. So you have e4, e5. This is actually the second game I played. Bishop flies out, swaps. Okay, this is all fairly normal. This bishop capture is a known thing in the Vienna, and you tend to recapture with the b pawn. Okay, so knight comes out, queen comes out now. So basically, this knight is now pinned because there's a threat of queen takes f7 mate, right? And this is a slightly unusual move, but it's probably preparing d5, I'm guessing. And now d4, right? So I'm striking out in the center. I've got this, because one of my b pawn has now become a c pawn, I've got an extra pawn. So now if takes, then I have two central pawns. I've basically swapped my b pawn for my opponent's e pawn, right? That's how it works. So d5 does come. I capture the pawn and attack the knight. My opponent actually plays a good move here. I was expecting maybe pawn takes bishop, pawn takes knight, and then if queen recaptures, I'd recapture and force double pawns. Or if pawn took there as well, I was ready for that. But knight took pawn was I think a decent move. So now my bishop's under threat and the knight's protected, so we retire the bishop. Now bishop e6, I develop my knight ready to castle, still feeling quite confident. Knight comes out into the side of the board, I develop a knight, I castle, black now castles. And you can see now the effect of these pawn pushes here, and the fact that he's chosen to castle long. So I also have a semi-open b file, and I'm starting to feel pretty good. Okay, now I put my bishop here. Now I do from this point need to watch out for the safety of this guy, because there is a risk of getting trapped. Black now pushes c5, which was, good news for me. I like that idea. So I grab his bishop, queen recaptures, and now look, these pawns are starting to look a bit out of control, too far forwards. Centralize my rook, black takes the pawn, and this is obviously preparing a discovery against the queen, possibly, if I can protect the bishop. Queen retreats here, offering a trade. I decline with check. Queen comes back, again I don't want to trade. This knight's looking very silly on the side of the board. Now I centralize my other rook, knight moves out of the way, and now we have a big face-off, queens and rooks. I keep thinking through this point. I've got two bishops against two knights, so these pawns are looking pretty vulnerable, as well as this one, and these guys are not that well defended. So I'm thinking if we did actually trade a load of stuff off, I'd probably be okay in the end game, but I wasn't 100% sure. Maybe I should have done. Okay, now queens are here, so queen can't take because that's still defended twice. I have to be careful about back rank attacks. Now knight attacks queen, queen moves, pawn comes forward. Now this guy is in some danger of getting trapped, so I push a4. If takes, I recapture, that's fine. Otherwise I have an escape square, so that's good. Pawn comes forward, and now I decide to capture on b5 with a counter-attack against the knight. We have knight moves. Okay, so my bishop is still under threat, but I'm figuring, well, maybe there's an opportunity here. If I can make this knight move, I might be able to capture there, send my queen into here. So I'm now looking at going in for the kill. Now I move my queen to h3 with check. King moves out of the way. Okay. Bishop to a4 now gets the bishop out of trouble. And knight takes, rook takes. Okay, now you have to remember the first rule. The first two rules. King safety, okay? Queen takes f2. Check. There's nothing that I can do. Have to play king h1, queen takes e1, checkmate, right? Where did this come from? Knight takes there, okay? And that's it. Yeah, there's a discovery. I failed to notice that the knight was guarding that pawn and that the queen was lined up with that pawn. I thought, that suits me. This is going to let me double up my rooks here and cause some pain to my opponent. Completely took my eye off the ball and lose to an opponent rated 1352. Okay, let's look at the other game, also in the Vienna. And this is odd, right? B6 on the second move. I thought that's really unusual. But he's probably aiming to fianchetto that bishop, so some Queen's Indian idea. Okay, so now knight comes out, and now I can play f4 with the idea of if pawn takes, I play e5, and this knight looks embarrassed. But we don't have that. We have the fianchetto of the bishop. I play d3. Bishop comes out pinning the knight. I'm not too bothered about that, so I capture inwards with my f-pawn on e5. There's no defender of that pawn. We have bishop takes, and again, b takes c3. Okay, we saw that in the last game. Now, I'm feeling very confident indeed. I've got 5 pawns in this central area. I'm getting ready to develop my knight, castle my king, put my rook onto the f-file. Knight takes a pawn, and I recapture, okay? And I'm thinking, and now I'm up in material. Yes, I've got 2 pairs of double pawns, but he's just given up a knight. I'm up a whole piece in material. What's not to like? So at this point, I should probably have played. You've got to remember, in the Vienna, any system where you lose the pawn on f2 and your king still isn't castled, you have to look out for this, right? So maybe my opponent was just way more switched on than I am. I mean, he's in India, so he's probably 4 or 5 hours ahead of me, right? I probably should not have recaptured the knight. Because, watch this. Queen h4 check, right? And this is such a familiar pattern. Now, what I should have done here, if I'd been awake and conscious, I should have just moved the king, right? I didn't. I thought, I'm up. In fact, what happens is I didn't think. I stopped thinking. I thought, I'm up now, right? I can't get hurt. But oh no, I play g3. And what does black do? Everybody knows. Queen takes e4, check, with a fork on king and rook. And now, look, my position is just horrible. Queen takes rook, queen moves across, queen back out with check, king moves, queen takes my bishop, back here, queen takes a pawn, and suddenly I'm 7 points down in material, where I thought I was, already in a winning position and just ready to freewheel. So I resign at this point. So what do we learn from this? Don't forget the first 2 rules: king safety and king safety. If your king isn't protected, then nothing else matters. I mean, look at this, is even another fork on the rook. So just allowing that queen in, if a queen gets into your camp and you're not ready, right? You can just look at this. I mean, the entire game fell away in, what have I got? I've used 2 minutes on my clock. There's another tip there also. If you're going to play 30-minute rapid, play 30-minute rapid. Don't start a 30-minute rapid game and then play blitz, right? Because I've managed to lose in 2 minutes. Got 28 minutes on the clock. Don't do that, right? If you go back through, say, your 30-minute games and you're finding that you're winning or losing and you've still got 20 minutes on the clock, why the hell are you playing 30-minute games? Play 10-minute rapid, right? If you're playing 30-minute rapid or 15 plus 10 or whatever, and you're only using 10 minutes, you're using 10 minutes, you're giving your opponent half an hour to think about their moves. So if you want to play that quickly, play 10-minute, right? Simple tip. Okay, so there you go. Tough lessons for me today. The first game I played, I won and was feeling fairly confident there, but you can see in these two, I got completely spanked. And I just need to remember the first two rules. Simple as that, guys. All right. So there you go. Never forget your king safety. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.